Dear friends, we will continue our working day, and on Skype, online, we have the Principal Deputy Chief Monitor, Mr. Alexander Hook.
Well,
good afternoon. Yes, I can hear you well. Thank you.
we are ready to listen to your report, please.
Thank you. Dear friends, I'm reporting to you from the Donetsk water filtration stations, where I am with a patrol of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission, as well as the two generals of the Joint Center for Control and Coordination. As you all know, there has been a serious deterioration in the security situation in the Avdiivka, Yasinovata, and Donetsk airport triangle. Since early Sunday morning, our monitors on the ground have been recording an extraordinary number of ceasefire violations. Here on this graph, you see a visual representation of what has been happening. We have gone from recording hundreds of ceasefire violations to thousands on a daily basis. On Tuesday, we actually recorded over 11,000. This is truly unprecedented. Of particular worry has been the use of multiple launch rocket systems in the Avdiivka, Yasinovata, Donetsk airport triangle and elsewhere along the contact line. On Tuesday, for instance, we recorded MLRS impacts in Avdiivka and outgoing MLRS rounds in Yasinovata and Forlivka. On Wednesday, we saw an MLRS impact site in Yasinovata and heard MLRS impacts in Kruta-Balka and more outgoing MLRS in Forlivka. And yesterday, our monitors saw a MLRS impact in Sartan. Dear friends, statistics often paint a dry, dispassionate picture of the events, but the reality as seen here on the ground is far from dry. These armed men in close proximity, using all manner of weapons, desperately engaged in a violent struggle for possession of a few hundred meters of dirt. We know that many of them are dying. In addition, civilians who have not signed up for this and who only want to live their lives are also paying a terrible price. Everywhere on both sides, people's homes are being damaged. We have recorded artillery and mortar and even MLRS strikes in and around residential areas, sending shrapnel and blast waves into people's living rooms. The same senselessness on both sides of the contact line. A common shared suffering, death, injury and destruction inflicted by men in uniform. As I speak, we have teams on the ground following up on reports of overnight impacts and civilian casualties in Donetsk and Avdiivka city centers. Initial report suggests multiple civilian casualties. Dear friends, we have had many flare-ups before, and yet somehow the sides have pulled back, reverting to an uneasy, often violent, static, confrontational stance. It has been the normal abnormal we are all familiar with since September 2014. We have since then become immune to hearing of the suffering of the civilian population caught in the middle. Now, however, the stakes are even higher. There is a potential humanitarian and ecological disaster about to unfold. This fighting is taking place in an urban industrial area where, like with any modern industrial society, infrastructure supplying water, electricity, gas, cares little for arbitrary so-called contact lines cutting through integrated social and economic webs. Already we have seen the people of Avdiivka being cut off from electricity, heating and water as the nearby water filtration plant in Jasenovaata had been problems operating. Worse can happen if the chlorine tanks at the plant are hit. I also would like to remind those responsible for and those engaged in the ongoing violence that it does not have to be this way. Despite their own bellicose rhetoric, I know that the sides are capable of de-escalating. I know they can pull back from the brink. Yesterday and today in Jasenovaata, my colleagues and I witnessed a largely calm situation as the sides ceased fire to allow for the repair of critical civilian infrastructure. In this respect, I in particular would like to pay tribute to the workers here at the water filtration plant. Despite the risks, they have shown a remarkable sense of commitment and a duty of care. Their determination to provide clean drinking water to hundreds of thousands of people on both sides of the contact line demonstrates real patriotism. They expect, however, at the minimum, a safe working environment. As they take their responsibilities seriously, they also expect that those in control on both sides to take the Minsk agreements equally serious. The brief cessation of violence that has allowed the workers into the plant could not have happened without the Joint Center for Control and Coordination. Both the Ukrainian and Russian Federation generals are personally involved. Their willingness and ability to work jointly and constructively and to coordinate with the OSCE SMM in ensuring adherence to the ceasefire tells me that there is still hope. This temporary localized cessation also proves me one thing. If those ordering this violence and those engaged in want to stop, they can. Dear friends, this recent violence did not happen spontaneously. Somewhere people consciously decided to start it. Before this gets completely out of hand, before more men are committed, before more lives are lost, before more homes are destroyed, and before a truly humanitarian and ecological crisis is unleashed, those people must reverse course. Those people, both in uniform and suits, who are tasked with making important decisions, must stop firing in the wider Avdiivka area, withdraw their tanks, mortars, artillery and MLRS from this area, stop moving positions forward and increase the distance between their respective positions, allow safe and unhindered access to repair crews and their equipment, and stop blocking the work of the SMM. Dear friends, war and peace are indeed realities, but they are also choices. If this week has shown us anything, it is that those making choices need to start making smart choices. Choices that benefit people rather than harm them. As usual, at the end of my statement, I would like to inform you about the latest mission numbers. As of today, the mission has 724 monitors, of whom 588 are deployed in the east. In addition, there are 332 Ukrainian colleagues and 93 other international staff working for the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. There are a couple of questions from Ukraine Crisis Media Center. The first one is, Over the last week, Avdiivka was shelled with large caliber weapons, including Grad multiple launch systems. Yesterday evening, a humanitarian camp was shelled as well. From what direction was the fire delivered?
Our patrols, as we speak, are in Avdiivka, near those new impact sites, as well as they are in Donetsk, which was also hit by MLRS fire. And in both towns, the attacks, respectively, have led to civilian casualties and fatalities.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Next question. This night, the militants shelled Halitsynivka in Donetsk Oblast, 15 kilometers from the line of contact. Did SMM OSCE record this shelling and that the militants did not implement the Minsk agreements concerning withdrawal of weapons 70 kilometers from the line of contact?
The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission is following up on reports of alleged incidents, and all of its findings will be reflected in its daily reporting to be made available on our website on a daily basis. For specific incidents and most serious incidents, the mission will be issuing spot reports. All of these reports are publicly available in 3 languages on our websites, and when patrols return from work, that information will be collected and then made available the soonest possible.
And the last question from Ukraine Crisis Media Center. Did SMM OSCE record the movement of the militants on 47 military trucks near Komisarivka village near Luhansk? Where were these trucks heading to? Did the air drone fix what they were bringing?
The OSCE Special Monitoring Mission has witnessed indeed an increase in ceasefire violations in the western side of the Donetsk and Luhansk region, in particular in the area located between Popasna, Pervomaisk and Troitsk. In that area, which is one of the 3 main hotspots along the contact line, we have seen ceasefire violations on both sides of the contact line. Ceasefire violations need guns and personnel. Therefore, where there are ceasefire violations, there are guns, and where are guns, there is personnel handling these guns. Therefore, in those hotspots, there is always, on both sides of the contact line, an accumulation and amassing of personnel and hardware.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. There is another question from a journalist here. I will translate it for you. What is the overall situation in Luhansk region?
Okay, I have just referred to the situation. We are located between Popasna, Pervomaisk and Troitsk. The violations there recorded 5% of all the ceasefire violations recorded in the security zone. Last week, we have seen a significant increase there this week in that specific hotspot, and the numbers of explosions happened rocketed in the area from 3 mortar rounds in the previous reporting period to 58 mortar rounds and 279 artillery transporting the kingdom part of the region. Other areas where ceasefire violations have been recorded there are will be 6 days a week.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. We are going to finish at this point and looking forward to hearing from you next week. Thank you.